What black market did kids at your school run? When I was in the 6th grade, a teacher sold candy in between classes at marked up rates. A student decided to undercut her. That put an end to all candy sales. Till the school system hates the free market. Classic example of big business legislating small business out of the market. You could even say it was a asterisk textbook example, asterisk. I would buy 6 packs of soda for $1.79 and resell the 6 sodas for a total of $3. Not labeled for individual sale, come on bro. These little game coupons that our teacher gave out for winning class quiz games. Right when people were starting to get scanners, printers in their own homes, some kid made copies of his coupons and sold or traded them to other students. Edit. Since I have some people asking what the coupons could be traded for, it was usually a piece of candy or pencil with a fun print or something similar. I think the kids ended up getting caught like 2 weeks into the scheme. Edit 2. A lot of people are comparing this to Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which I've heard of but never read before. I think kids are just clever and do this kind of thing on their own because a lot of people in the replies had similar things happen in their own schools as well. I don't know if this is where the kid got his idea or not, but this may have been before those books came out. And that's how you first learned about inflation. In a similar vein, our high school had homework passes redeemable across all classes. You could use them as either one free pass for a homework assignment or 1 day delay on a large report. They even had a void message if copied. The teachers got them from the principal at the beginning of each quarter and they passed them out with wild abandon to anyone showing interest in class. The market was flooded. I'd buy them from kids for $2 each. Then I'd wait. At the end of the quarter, larger reports would be due. Rich kids would buy them back from me for $25 to $50 each. I once made $370 in the last 5 days of the quarter. Whatever I earned, I'd typically only use a total of $15 minus $20 to buy the next wave of homework passes. The rest was mine to keep. It all started with a single 0.75-cent investment. And that was the only bit of money I ever paid from my own pocket to keep it going. And a new business major was born. The only guy in the school whose family had proper TV channels used to tape wrestling events and rent them out. That late 90s ECW was hard to get a hold of. My buddies and I would pool money to watch the PPV events at my house and always recorded them on VHS. Unfortunately, my mother saw an especially bloody ECW match, so we could only order WWE events. Luckily, I was always nice to the 2 ICP kids and they had all of the ECW shit. They would always loan me tapes to copy over the weekend, and on Monday we would be so excited to talk about them, monsieur. This is the most 90s Midwestern thing I've ever read. MP3s and CDRs were just becoming available. A guy the first knew made a killing on mixed CDs. Every week he circulated forms to fill out, where you selected the songs you wanted on the CD. The newest hits were on the top, and changed weekly. The rest of his library filled the rest of the form, and there was a space for requests. He'd deliver your disc the following week. He seriously made bank for a couple years until everybody started getting their own songs from LimeWire or whatever. I don't know what he's doing now, 20 years later, but I don't doubt he's successful. Edit. Just as a bit of an aside, since a few responses have mentioned LimeWire, when this guy started doing it in HS, the only real avenues for music sharing were Usenet groups and IRC. I had 2 brothers in my school who did this in 7th and 8th grade. They were the only ones with a CD burner, and they crushed it. $5 a pop. And a lot of times they'd just burn whatever rap was popular or shit they both liked. But at the time, I especially had no other access to that shit, as we didn't have cable TV or high-speed internet. So it was a hot commodity. This girl Danielle convinced my best friend and I, along with some other people, that she could forever change the taste of saliva in our mouth, so that our saliva would taste like watermelon, cotton candy, bubble gum, etc. forever. She made us wait a couple days so we could really think about what flavor we wanted in our mouth forever. For example, she would tell us, "Are you sure you always want everything you eat to have a hint of watermelon?" Quote. Anyways, after a couple days and we picked a flavor, she charged us money. I can't remember how much, but it was probably 50 cents or something. She made us chew on all this crazy stuff like paper clips, erasers, and other things. Obviously our saliva never changed flavor and she stopped this. But I worked at Starbucks a couple years ago in my hometown and she came in and didn't even recognize me. And all I could think about was how that girl had me chewing on paper clips. Was she head of their own religion by then? Maybe a bunker full of mole men. Nintendo games. Some kids sold them off for like 10 or 15 bucks a pop. I don't know where he got them from, but he said he just told his dad what he wanted and his dad would get it for "Hi monsieur." He'd ask for the same ones over and over and it didn't matter. He'd end up with 5 copies and he'd just sell 4 of them, monsieur. Either the kid was the most spoiled brat in history, or his dad was straight up stealing them anyhow. Anyways, I could never get any. I had a Sega, but I remember that kid making a killing in grade 3. Asterisk updates and answers. Asterisk it was NES. Asterisk yes. Please tell me how to download a car. I had the principal's secretary's handwriting down and used to sell hall passes for $1 each. Made a killing. Edit. I don't really know how much I made, but it was in the realm of $5 a day. Sometimes I went dry because you needed the actual pass paper, but I finally figured out how to get into the supply closet, slide the student id by the latch bolt. I only took a few pads at a time so they wouldn't get suspicious. Edit 2. I could also forge my mother's signature. Did it so well that when I brought in a note from her that she scribbled on the dash, they called her to come for monsieur. I never grasped the concept of hall passes. Do you have hall wardens which detain you if caught without a pass? Freeze criminal scrum and show me your hall pass. Quote. Cuban sandwiches straight out a duffel bag before school. They were bomb. Cheap and way better than the lunch in the cafeteria. I went to a private high school with a strict dress code. Ties, belt, etc. So I bought a bunch of ties and belts from a thrift store and ran a lucrative rental business out of my locker. Ran a swag. In high school, this guy sold socks in the hallways. I'd ask why there was a market, but I'm not sure I want to hear the answer. I went to school with a lot of emo kids and apparently socks ruin the look of Converse and Vans. The gym teachers hated it, so if you weren't wearing socks, you couldn't participate and you got an F for the day. Silly bands. I remember a kid made like $50 one day. This was late middle school for me. They were so highly coveted in our school that if you had rare ones, you'd rather shoot yourself in the foot than give them away. I remember the fantasy pack was rare and came with bands shaped like a genie and unicorn and that shit. I only knew like 2 kids that had that pack and everyone was gagging to trade with them, monsieur. Of course that didn't happen so effectively. In the inner workings of my middle school, a caste system was created from fucking rubber bands. All silly bands are equal, but some are more equal than others. Apple laptops in middle school. Some had iTunes, some didn't, and the kids wanted it, so I apparently was the only one who knew how to transfer the installer with my USB. I put it on everyone's laptop for gifts, favors, etc. In return, got caught by the sub that day. I told her it was my flash drive, I could do what I wanted with it. And that's how I got my second detention of my life. Edit. Gifts were typical middle schooler shit. Yu-Gi-Oh cards, fruit snacks, best food trades during lunch, gain in popularity and hang out with the cool people. Obviously they were taking advantage of me, but I didn't mind. How did you get the first Gang violence. You don't want to mess with the middle school mafia, bro. Apart from the 20 minutes before the morning bell rang where everyone crowded around the front of the school being an open-air drug market, there were always dice tournaments. The rules were 2 people put down X amount of money on a game. Then both people rolled 2 dice at the same time. Whoever got 7 or 11 first won the money. The winners of the first rounds would play each other for the amount of money they won in previous games. This went on until the bell rang, or it was broken up by teachers, school administrators. Things often continued in the afternoon after school let out. So many people got detention and suspended for repeat gambling. Looking back, it was hilariously stupid how much money was won and lost on a game of pure luck, and the sheer number of people who got in trouble for it. Yes, I was one of them, monsieur. You guys were legit playing street craps in school, LMAO. Banana chips were 25 in the vending machine in middle school. I always went to school early, so I always ended up buying all of them and selling them for 50 a bag. This is one of my favorites out of this whole thread. Simple and effective. 2 years ago I was a sophomore in high school, and freshmen weren't allowed to go off campus but everyone else was. So I'd take orders, go to the local fast food shops, and get the goods. I'd up the price by about $2 and ended up making about $200 a month. Edit. $200 a month, folks. Not per year. But what about gas money? The stores were across the street. Big city, downtown high school. Used to crush up warheads and mix them with sugar. Sold them by the straw with the ends melted. .50 a piece. Hey kid, want some death sticks? You don't want to sell me a death stick. You want to go home and rethink your life. I used to sell Coke the drink because they didn't allow fizzy drinks to be brought in. Pablo Frescobar. I was in elementary school when pogs were big. Everyone had cool slammers and stuff, but I didn't have money for good ones. My dad made 1 out of 1/2 mild steel for me and used an engraving pen to make a simple pattern. Everyone was asking me where I got them from, monsieur. I didn't want to lose my unfair edge, but I also knew I could make money. My dad had a big sheet of this 1/2 steel. I told them I was the only one who could get them, monsieur. I sold them for $15 a pop. My dad kept 10, I got 5. And that's when I learned what overhead was. Edit. First silver. Neato. Thanks. Your family life sounds fun. Locker accessories such as carpets and magnets. Carpets? How big were your lockers? Only a few hundred square feet. The fireplace was really disappointing because it was only gas. I used to bang my head on the chandelier till I bought out my friend's locker above and built an extension. At my school they took all sweets out of the vending machines and replaced them with healthy snacks. In the local town there was a sweet shop where you could buy a kilo of mixed sweets for £5. So every week I would go there and buy 1 pound of small paper bags and spend the Sunday night before school repackaging them all ready for the week ahead. Come Monday I would go into school and load my bag up every day, selling the bags for 50p. G-rated version of repacking and selling drugs. I lived in an area with a lot of retiree-age people, a lot of which ended up raising their grandchildren. It really isn't a good area. Being older and from a rural area, they still don't trust online sites like eBay or Amazon, so I started ordering people things from those sites for actual money and added a charge for me to be making money off of it. It eventually got shut down because I got someone a USB in the shape of a pistol. It was the size of a USB and clearly a USB, but it didn't matter. The principal actually got the police involved to try to get me in real trouble. During a drug search at my school, a guy got in trouble simply for having a shirt in his truck with Sex Pistols on it. Zero tolerance is a freaking mess. It's not anything bad, but we had a black market for food and another for birth control pills. Hey, Martha. Didn't see you last week. You want your usual order of birth control pills? Quote, nope, just the food, please. Do you need double the usual amount? Dark. This is why we need real sex ed. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.